Hello friends, in this video I am going to show you or explain you the 50 important questions that are frequently asked in the SoC Analyst interview. These are the questions. Most of the questions are asked for the L1 post. L2 post also they will check your basic networking knowledge and basic malware and alert incident handling knowledge. Basically these 50 questions are for L1 and some of the questions may come for L2 interview. So let's begin with the first question. Explain risk, vulnerability and threat. Vulnerability means weakness. Vulnerability is a gap in the protection efforts of a system. A threat is an attacker who exploits that weakness. Risk is the measure of potential loss when the vulnerability is exploited by the threat. Example, default username and password for a server. An attacker can easily crack into this server and compromise it. So you need to be very careful. You should not keep root as a password. Initially, when you install any application for the server, you keep the database username as root and password as 123 or root 123. So you have to take care for in that what credentials. Okay. What is the difference between asymmetric and symmetric encryption? Which one is better? Symmetric encryption uses the same key for both encryption and decryption, for example the public key, while asymmetric encryption uses different keys for encryption and decryption. That is, for encryption public key is used and for decryption private key is used. Symmetric is usually much faster, but the key needs to be transferred over an unencrypted channel, so it is like a threat will be there. Asymmetric, on the other hand, is more secure but slow. Hence, a hybrid approach should be preferred, setting up a channel using asymmetric encryption and then sending the data using symmetric process. What is an IPS? How does it differ from IDS? This is a very important question. This is a definite question. You will get one question on IPS and IDS. So, most important question. IDS is an intrusion detection system, whereas an IPS is an intrusion prevention system. IDS will just detect the intrusion and will leave the rest to the administrator for further action, whereas an IPS will detect the intrusion and will take further action to prevent the intrusion. Another difference is the positioning of the devices in the network. That is, you have to know, this is most important, you have to know the placement of firewall, router, you have to know the placement of a gateway, you have to know the placement of an IPS and IDS. If you want, I will make a separate video regarding placement of these network security devices. Okay, so although they work on the same basic concept, the placement is different for IPS and IDS. What is XSS and how will you mitigate it? XSS stands for cross-site scripting. It is a JavaScript vulnerability in web application. The easiest way to explain this is a case when a user enters a script in the client-side input fields and that input gets processed without getting validated. This leads to an untrusted data getting saved and executed on the client side. Countermeasures of XSS are input validation, implementing a CSP, that is content security policy. What is the difference between encryption and hashing? So again, a very important question. You have to know about encryption, you have to know about hashing. Both are very important. Encryption is a reversible process where hashing is irreversible. Hashing can be cracked using a rainbow tables and the collision attacks, but is not reversible. Encryption is just to make the data unreadable, whereas hashing is used for data integrity. So encryption ensures confidentiality, that is, it encrypts the data for which makes the data as unreadable, whereas hashing ensures integrity. Whether hashing is used when you transfer the data from source to destination, and at the destination the data is validated whether the data is modified or not by using the hashing value or computing the hashing value. If the source hash value matches with the destination hash value, that ensures the data is not modified in transit. What is CSRF? Cross-site request forgery is a web application vulnerability in which the server does not check whether the request came from a trusted client or not. The request is just processed directly. It can be further followed by the ways to detect this, examples and countermeasures. What is security misconfiguration? Again, a very important question. Security misconfiguration is a vulnerability when a device or application or a network is configured in a way that can be exploited by an attacker to take advantage of it. This can be as simple as leaving the default username password unchanged or too simple for the device accounts. What is black hat, white hat, grey hat hacker? This can be asked in the L2. Okay, it's a very advanced question. Black hat hackers are those who hack without authority. White hat hackers are authorized to perform a hacking attempt under a signed NDA. Grey hat hackers are white hat hackers who sometimes perform unauthorized activities. What is firewall? This is the most important question, repeatedly asked question for L1. A firewall is a device that allows or blocks traffic as per the defined set of rules. These are placed on the boundary of the trusted and untrusted networks. How do you keep yourself updated with the information of the security news? This is again an important question. You have to enlist, or you have to tell 5 to 6 websites of cybersecurity news or cybersecurity alerts, or what is the new malware world is facing, IT world is facing, how it is being tackled. So you have to give confidently you have to explain this, because this is the most important question, and the interviewer expects this, that is, you are aware of the recent attacks, you are aware of recent malwares, trojans, viruses. Okay, so you have to impress the interviewer by for this question. So if you answer this question confidently, definitely that is a plus point. The world has recently been hit by XYZ attack or virus. What you have done to protect your organization as a security professional? So this one is again L2 type of question. Again L1 it can be asked. So you will be given an example of a malware or ransomware attack that has been hit recently. So what do you know about it, or whether your organization has faced it? How do you have handled? This question is a very important question. Different organizations work in different ways, and the ways to handle an incident are different for all. Some take this seriously and some do not. The answer to this should be the process to handle an incident. Align this with the one you had and go on, and just don't exaggerate the thing. Just explain it in a simple way. CIA triangle. C stands for confidentiality, keeping the information secret. I stands for integrity, keeping the information unaltered. A stands for availability. Information is available to the authorized parties at all times. This is again a very important question. Both the questions are important. Even port scanning is a very important question, as vulnerability, a port is a vulnerability in a network. Port scanning is a process of sending messages in order to gather information about the network, system, etc., by analyzing the response received. What is the difference between vulnerability assessment and penetration testing? L2 type of question. Vulnerability assessment is an approach used to find flaws in an application or network, whereas penetration testing is the practice of finding exploitable vulnerabilities like a real attacker will do. Vulnerability assessment is like traveling on the surface, whereas penetration testing is digging it for gold. What are all the objects that should be included in a good penetration testing report? Vulnerability assessment penetration testing report should have an executive summary explaining the observations on a high level, along with the scope, period of testing, etc. This can be followed by a number of observations, category wise, split into high, medium and low, and also include detailed observation along with the replication steps and screenshots of proof of concept along the remediation. See if my voice, or if you don't like my explanation, no worries, you can mute the sound and you can read on your own. What is compliance? Again, a most important question. Abiding by a set of standards set by the government or organization or the company or any independent party or any security service provider. For example, an industry that stores, processes or transmits payment related information needs to have complied with the PCI DSS, that is Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. Other compliance examples can be organization complying with its own standards and policies. Tell us about your personal achievement or certification. See, this is a question whose answer cannot be a definite one, because you may have done a certification on any security courses or you may not have any certifications. See, certifications are not compulsory. You just need to have the knowledge of cybersecurity alerts and incident handling. You don't need a certification to get or to pass an interview. So this answer, I leave it to you. Whether you have done the certification, you enlist the certification. If you have not done the certification, you can politely say no. Various response codes from the web application. 1xs information responses, 2xs success, redirection, client-side error, and server-side error. There are again plenty of response codes. You can go through any of the website and you can study. This question is not so definite, but they may ask what is the server-side error or what is the response code for a client-side error. They can ask this. When do you use tracert or traceroute? In case you can't ping the final destination, traceroute will help to identify where the connection stops or gets broken, whether it's the firewall, ISP router, etc. DDoS and its mitigation, very important question, a definite question for L1. This is a very important question because this is a major problem faced in the security handling. Okay, so DDoS stands for distributed denial of service. When a network, server or application is flooded with a large number of requests that is not designed to handle, making the server unavailable to legitimate requests. The request can come from different, not related sources. Hence, it is a distributed denial of service attack. It can be mitigated by analyzing and filtering the traffic in the scrubbing centers. The scrubbing centers are centralized data cleansing stations wherein the traffic to a website is analyzed and the malicious traffic is removed. See, DDoS has different kinds of mitigations other than this. You can study more about DDoS because, see, if you explain DDoS and its mitigation, it's enough for an interviewer to get what knowledge you have. So if you answer this question in very confidently, that is enough for the interviewer. Okay, so very important thing. What is WAF and what are its types? This topic is usually not asked about in detail. Okay, so WAF stands for Web Application Firewall. Okay, it is used to protect the application by filtering legitimate traffic from malicious traffic. WAF can be either a box type or cloud based. See, listen, whether you are an experienced cybersecurity professional or you have an experience in L1 or you are a fresher, you must use this kind of terminologies, that is legitimate traffic. This is a very important terminology in cybersecurity. Explain the objects of basic web architecture. Different organizations follow different models and networks. Okay, so a basic web architecture should contain a front end server, web application server, and a data server. This is a 3-tier architecture you may have studied in engineering. So you have to, this is a basic architecture: front end server and a web application server and database server. Front end provides client applications, web application where the business logic is been like hold, database where data is being maintained and managed. How do you handle antivirus alerts? Again, an important question. Check the policy for the antivirus and then the alert. If the alert is for a legitimate file, then it can be whitelisted, and if this is a malicious file, then it can be quarantined or deleted. The hash of the file can be checked for reputation on various websites like VirusTotal, Malwares.com, etc. Antivirus needs to be fine-tuned so that the alerts can be reduced. See, this VirusTotal and Malwares.com or any websites like these, you must have the knowledge about these kind of websites. They are very useful, and interviewer will get an impression if you use this VirusTotal and Malware.com as an example to check the reputation of any hash value of any antivirus, virus or any malware. Okay, yes. So what is a false positive and false negative in case of IDS? Very important question again. When the device generated an alert for an intrusion that has actually not happened, this is false positive. And if the device has not generated any alert and the intrusion has actually happened, this is the case of false negative. Which one is more acceptable? False positive are more acceptable. False negatives will lead to intrusions happening without getting noticed. Software testing versus penetration testing. Software testing is just focuses on the functionality of the software and not the security aspect. whereas penetration testing will help you to identify and address security vulnerabilities or weaknesses. What are your thoughts about the blue team and the red team? This is an L2 type question. Don't worry, L1 people, okay? A red team is an attacker and a blue team is a defender. Being on the red team seems fun, but being in the blue team is difficult as you need to understand the attacks and the methodologies the red team may follow. What is your preferred bug bounty? What is your preferred bug bounty or security testing? Both are fine, just support your answer like bug bounty is decentralized and can identify rare bugs, large pool of testers, etc. This is not so important. L2 or L3 level question it is. Tell us about your professional achievement, major projects. This can be anything like setting up your own team and process or a security practice you have implemented. Even if the achievement is not from the security domain, just express it well. See, if you have any other experience as a system engineer, basically it happens. See, people in the IT, they get experience as a system engineer or some network engineer. They have not worked on SoC and they put the SoC as experience of 2 or 4 years to get more package. If you put experience, okay, it is good, well and good, but you need to have knowledge about the projects or the alerts you have handled or any incident you have handled. You need to know the process, okay, of the SoC. How does the SoC analyst handles an alert and reports it, and how he reported or how she reports it, okay? You need to know the process, complete process. Then only the interviewer will like justify your experience. 2 quick points on web server hardening. Web server hardening is the filtering of unnecessary services running on various ports and the removal of default test scripts from the server. Although web server hardening is a lot more than this, and is usually organizations have customized checklists for hardening the servers. Any server getting created has to be hardened, and hardening has to be reconfirmed on a yearly basis. Even the hardening checklist has to be reviewed on yearly basis for new add-ons. What is data leakage and how will you detect and prevent it? Very important question for L1. Data leak is when data gets out of the organization in an unauthorized way. Data can get leaked through various ways: emails, prints, laptop getting lost, unauthorized upload of data to public portals, removable drives, photographs, etc. There are various controls which can be placed to ensure that the data does not get leaked. A few controls can be restricting upload on internet website, following internal encryption solution, restricting mails to be internal network, restriction on printing confidential data or taking screenshots, etc. What are the different levels of data classification and why are they required? Data needs to be segregated into various categories so that its severity can be defined. Without this segregation, a piece of information can be critical for one but not so critical for others. There can be various levels of data classification depending on the organization to organization. In broader terms, data can be classified into top secret, that is, its leakage can cause drastic effect on the organization and its reputation. For example, trade secrets. Data can be confidential. You can classify the data as confidential, internal to the company, example like policies and processes. You can classify data as public data. It is publicly available like newsletters, etc. In a situation where a user needs admin rights on his system to do daily tasks, what should be done? Should admin access be granted or restricted? Users are usually not provided with the admin access to reduce the risk, but in certain cases, the user can be granted admin access just to ensure that the users understand their responsibility. In case any incident happens, the access should be provided for only a limited time post senior management approval and a valid business justification. What are your views on the usage of social media in the office? Very important question. Social media is acceptable, just ensure content filtering is enabled and uploading features are restricted. Read-only mode is acceptable till the time it does not interfere with work. What are the various ways by which employees are made aware of information security policies and procedures? There can be various ways in which this can be done. It is an L2 or L3 question. L1, don't worry. Employees should undergo mandatory information security training post joining their organization. That is, this should also be done on a yearly basis, and this can be either a classroom session followed by a quiz or online training. Sending out notification on regular basis in the form of slides, one pagers, etc., to ensure that the employees are kept aware. Or usually you see in the offices the policies and standards are displayed on the digital boards or some banners or flyers. In a situation where both open source software and licensed software are available to get the job done, what should you prefer and why? Very important question for L2 and L3. For an enterprise, it is better to go with the licensed version of the software, as most of the software have an agreement clause that the software should be used for individual usage and not for the commercial purpose. Plus, the licensed version is updated and easy to track in an organization. It also helps the clients develop confidence in the organization's software and practices. When should a security policy be revised? There is no fixed time for reviving the security policy, but all this should be done at least once a year. Any changes made should be documented in the revision history of the document and versioning. In case there are any major changes, the changes need to be notified to the users as well. What all should be included in a CO level report from a security standpoint? Again, L2 or L3 kind of question. A CO level report should have not more than 2 pages, a summarized picture of the state of the security structure of the organization, quantified risk and ALE, that is annual loss expectancy, results along with countermeasures. How do you report risk? Very important question for L1. Risk can be reported, but it needs to be accessed first. Risk assessment can be done in 2 ways, quantitative analysis and qualitative analysis. This approach will cater to both technical and business guys. The business guys can see a probable loss in numbers, whereas the technical guys will see the impact and frequency. Depending on the audience, the risk can be accessed and reported. What is an incident and how do you manage it? Very important question. Any event which leads to compromise of security on an organization is an incident, and the incident process goes like this: identification of the incident, logging it, like getting details of that, investigation and root cause analysis, escalation or keeping the senior management parties informed, remediation steps, and closure report. So these 5 steps are very important in incident handling, and you must know if you are an experienced, if you have put an experience 2+ years of experience, if you have put in the SoC and you are taking an interview, you must know this incident handling steps: identification of incident, logging it, investigation and root cause analysis, escalation or keeping the senior management or parties informed, remediation steps, and closure report. Is social media secure? Not sure if the data is secure or not, but the users can take steps from their end to ensure safety. Connect with the trusted people. Do not post or upload confidential information. Never use the same username, password for all accounts. What is chain of custody? For legal cases, data or devices, evidence which acts like evidence needs to be integrated. Hence, any access needs to be documented. Who, what, when, and why needs to be documented. Compromise in this process can cause legal issues for the parties involved. What salary you are expecting, whether you are a L1, what experience you have put 2+ or 4+. Again, you have to, like, it's your own decision. Like, if you are expecting more salary, you can just discuss it, or if it is too much, then HR there are chances here that he may reject you because your expectations are high. Just keep it like balanced thing. Okay, so this is an HR level question. Tell me about a malware alert you handle. See, very important question. You need to tell one case study by taking these steps. These 5 steps you have to take and tell about one malware or alert you have handled if you have put 2+ years of experience. Okay, so these 5 steps are most important. You have to tell in it in your own way, like more generalized way. Don't like by heart something and tell how alert is handled by or how alert can be handled in a standard way. You have to tell, like, you don't have to get into more details. Okay, so these are the 50 important questions SoC Analyst interview, or you will get in the SoC Analyst interview. So hope you like the video. If you like the video, please hit the like button. Do share this video among your friends. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.